What's up, YouTube? It's Rich UX here from Rich+Niche.com, doing a little bit of a life/business update video for you guys. It's halfway through 2022, and I just want to catch you guys up with things that have been going on with me, what I've been thinking about, what I see for the future, and just giving you sort of that documentation of my journey. As you know, I'm along with you guys on this journey of creating remote income, becoming future-proof, and I'm just following the same values and processes that I recommend for you guys as well. So, I started Rich+Niche, the Academy version of it, in early 2020, and I've been doing services for multiple years before that in different formats, trying a lot of things. And, that's when I learned the power of, funnels and sort of how we can visualize our clients' brands through a customer journey, how we can really optimize those customer journeys, increase sales, increase lead generation, increase appointments, and of course, working with traffic generation tactics like content creation, digital advertising, these sorts of things. And, people had started asking me to make courses because I was just posting on YouTube about my experiences and people wanted to learn. And I put out a simple lead generation form, and a lot of people were wanting to be on the wait list. So it was kind of a no-brainer to share what I had learned, to put that into a package. And it's funny that, you get into that not knowing what it's going to be like. I certainly wasn't planning to be sort of an e-learning teacher or a coach or anything like that. I was just considering myself a business person / digital marketer, hopefully to be a successful entrepreneur. And I just sort of went with how things were going, and I really sort of tried to maintain the remote capability, the lifestyle aspects of the business. And, everything was pretty successful despite, being 2020, 2021. And I think that's because digital marketing is a very, future-proof skill to be learning. It's remote capable. It's a good idea to be learning digital marketing today, whether you learn for free or whether you take courses or programs. In any case, everyone really needs to learn how to communicate online. And I think it's valuable. And last year, at the end of the year, well, first of all, I had my son in 2020. First year was pretty easy, before they're really walking. I think the second year, 2021, a little bit more challenging, harder to get quiet time, harder to get focus time. And, we were doing most of everything ourselves, didn't have a ton of support given the time of life we were in. And at the end of 2021, made the decision to go remote again, live life to the fullest. Headed down to Mexico for a lifestyle change, got out of the Canadian winter, looking for new opportunities. I was looking to potentially invest in another house or some sort of land down there. Stayed there for about 6 months, full visa, maximization. And, it was a good experience. But the summer in Mexico can be really difficult. It's really wet. It's very hot and humid. And that's when I sort of started talking with a lot of the teammates that I had in Serbia. So it just sort of happened that a couple people from Serbia started working with me, one person in social media, one person sort of in online sales. And, it just kind of led to conversations about potentially coming to Serbia. One of them invited me to their wedding. And so, I was like, well, I probably will never go to Serbia. And suddenly it was like, well, I need a new place to go. And I was thinking about getting residency in Mexico, but ultimately for our family, it wasn't the right place. It was missing a lot of things that we really wanted to have day to day. I think it's a great vacation spot. I think it's a great short-term spot. And the truth is, like, Mexico isn't nearly as cheap as it used to be. And things have gone up a lot. Airbnb culture has really enhanced pricing. When the internet is available and everyone can see all the prices out there, things get sort of equalized pretty quickly. The market effects start taking shape. So Serbia was interesting. Ultimately we found a really beautiful 3-bedroom apartment in a beautiful area. And, the rent here is very affordable. I would say that, I haven't paid this price in rent since maybe, sometime like 2010 in Vancouver. I was probably paying about this much, and it was for a 1-bedroom. So, you get more space for a lot less. And the cost of living here in general is pretty solid. And so I've been out here in Serbia since April. I just filed my residency application last week. I think that's a pretty, monumental occasion. It's exciting. It took a lot of work to get there. It took a decent amount of financing. Working with a lawyer. I had to set up a company here in Serbia, based out of Belgrade. And I did that, and everything's going well, getting the bank accounts, just getting all the paperwork in order. It's a bit difficult. Everything needs to be translated into the Serbian language. It's difficult for me, but not too bad if you have a lawyer. So filed that. Ended up buying a cheap car. That was a really nice thing. I was borrowing a car for a while. It's nice to have my own car. Really, old 2001 Renault sort of hybrid vehicle. More like a, mid-size SUV, small SUV. I shouldn't say hybrid. It's not like it's electric, but I just kind of look at it as like this sedan / SUV style. Really great, reliable, 250,000 kilometers, but, pick that up for like less than $2,000. It's running pretty well so far. Can't complain too much. It's got AC, lots of room for my family and, trips to IKEA. But, I don't know why I decided to make this video kind of just impromptu. I guess the reason is tomorrow I'm going back to Canada for a 5-day trip. And I'm going to pick up things I left behind. When I went to Mexico, I didn't want to bring everything, right? It's a kind of a place where you don't want to bring a lot of stuff. Like I didn't bring any hard drives that contain a lot of my B-roll footage that I use for videos. I didn't even bring my camera. I didn't bring any equipment except a laptop. Didn't bring a microphone, didn't bring any lighting, and someone asked me the other day, like, Rich, why don't you get a better studio? It's like, well, it's been really difficult to, move countries and not have any of my stuff. And it's just like, it's a bit of a waiting game. So I guess I'm kind of excited to go back to pick up, my Sony Alpha R7 II, some lenses, my Shure SM7B microphone and mixer, different other pieces of equipment, like a lav mic. I've been using my iPhone and a dinky mic for 8 months, and I think I just want to tie this video up to say, like, you got to make do with what you have. And sort of like I've been making do for the last 8 months. And, the business was really thriving when I left Canada, and it was a big sacrifice to sort of leave during that moment. But in the overall bigger picture, I think it's like still the right move, and I'm glad I made it. I think there's a lot of opportunities out there, and I want what's best for my son, and he needs a thriving life that is healthy and social and interesting, and I think that we're going to be able to travel to a lot of countries neighboring Serbia, like Croatia, Bosnia, Greece, Italy, Romania. There's a lot of beautiful countries within 2-hour flights, within 8-hour drives. So that's my first time out in Europe, and I really want to make the most of it. So I'm definitely going to stay here for at least a year, maybe 2, see all the countries, just keep operating the business, really try to get my teammates who are based in Serbia with me on the same page, help them develop, help them make more money, make them like key pillars in the business the best as possible that I can. But yeah, so going back to Canada tomorrow, I've got a 6 a.m. flight in the morning, and that'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to be back for the first time in almost a year, not quite. See my close family members. I'm going to be able to get a chance to go to my property, check it out, check out the tenant, how they're doing. Love those guys. Go into my container. I bought a shipping container before I left. That was outrageously expensive during the time it was purchased. And I put all my stuff in there. So I'm going to go in, make sure everything is, in good shape still. I've had someone checking it out for me and making sure it's not getting too moist in there. So I'll go organize the container, maybe even sell a few things that I know I need to get rid of that I didn't before. I'll pack a bunch of bags coming back to, Belgrade, Serbia in just 5 days. With, bags full, lots of things that, we miss from our previous home that we just packed up. So that's sort of the life update. And I think, what I'm getting at is like, it's been a tough 8 months in terms of work. it's been tough with my son being 2 years old, and, you know, working from home can be challenging with kids. It's always quite noisy. You always want to give them attention. You know, they want to touch your computer. You got to be careful. It's been tough just getting an office set up, you know, moving to 2 different countries in the last 8 months. It's getting reorganized. I don't have a desktop computer. I've been purely on my laptop. Again, you know, don't have the studio set up. Sometimes you're not motivated to make content because, you know, it doesn't look so good. It doesn't sound so good. I got a bit of an echo in here with this mic, you know, no great lighting, boring ass white walls. You know, art is not the first thing you buy when you move to a new country. You know, special LED lighting can wait. You know, and it's been a big cost to sort of set up and get out here. So kind of have to be financially thoughtful about that. But, you know, in good time, it'll all work out. It'll all be good. But, you know, I hope people recognize that I've made the effort to stay on top of this, to keep delivering content, to keep giving a lot of ideas and, you know, mindset tips, you know, practical tips. And you know, I hope over the next part of the year, I can, you know, create better videos, keep up the consistency, you know, get back into some more screen share tutorials. And yeah, I hope to create more online courses, smaller courses. Recently made a few adjustments to the company. We're going to be opening up a subscription model. It's a bit more affordable, so you can just kind of buy the courses on a subscription, save a bit of money if you only need a couple months. Then sort of, I've always been selling the courses lifetime and giving lifetime access to the community. And it's been tricky because since I think the community is more valuable than the courses, I think our community is a one of a kind. I don't think there's anything else like it in terms of digital marketing. I think the support is really unreal. It's like I'm doing like a massive done with you coaching for everybody. I answer every single question in the Discord that I can, at like 98% of questions. You always have my support. You always have me around. You're never alone on your digital marketing journey, you know? And so I just really value the community. So it was really hard to lower the price of courses and also give you access to the community at the same time. So I think going forward, I'm probably going to separate things a little bit more. Either you're on a monthly subscription and that includes community access, and that's a fair price for that, but you got to keep paying to stay on. Or, you know, you can buy courses separately without community access. And I think that like allows people to get what they need and what they want. And I hope everyone's happy, you know, and I think that also incentivizes me and the other teammates to produce more content, to produce more courses, to give to the people who are on the subscription model so they can continually get updated materials and continually learning and getting value for the subscription, even though I think the community alone is worth it. I think that if you're trying to start a business, if you're a new entrepreneur, a new marketer, a new freelancer, like support is one of the most important things you need. Are your family members supporting you enough? You know, are your friends pushing you to succeed enough? Do you have the motivation and inspiration? Do you have the confidence? I just think that's worth more than the skills. I think you can learn all the skills as you go and keep developing them. But if you don't have the right support system, you know, you could ultimately struggle to get off the ground. You could struggle to get through the tough times. And I think that that's just true. That's unfortunate. I think everyone deserves a fair chance. And I don't think anyone, you know, should feel bad if they can't do this alone. You know, you should feel supported on your journey of entrepreneurship or freelancing or whatever element it is you're trying to do with digital marketing. You know, you do need support. You're going to have questions along the way, especially because this is career oriented. There's a lot of contextual questions that like we need to break down. We need to talk about it. We need to ask more people than just besides me, right? I can't know everything. You know, I try my best, but certainly I'm not able to answer every single thing. So why not have 50 to 100 people who could listen to your question and potentially give you the right answer? And what about for all the international people, not just North America, you know, but Europe, Asia, South America, Africa even. We have people from every part of the world now. Sometimes what works for someone in New York isn't going to work for someone in Ghana, Africa. You know, it's not going to work for someone in South Korea. It's not going to work for someone in Serbia. So it's so valuable to have that international element to our community that everyone feels like they can connect with someone. And again, you know, it's just kind of summarizing like where we are after like 2 and a bit years. I mean, it's actually really far, you know, what we've accomplished so far as a community, and honestly, what I've accomplished in terms of building. I've done like 90% of the work, you know, and it's been difficult. I've worked every single day. You know, I don't take vacations, and that's the thing. When you work remotely, when you do what you like, you don't have to take vacations. And so you're able to commit to building something, and that's awesome. I think that's a great feeling, and I want other people to feel that as well. You know, we now have the lab program, which has so far been very successful, trying to create that more high-level business program so people can walk away with a fully fledged operational business, an offer, a website, some sales skills. I really think that in like 2 years, that is going to be a massive program and game-changing for the world. I don't know how many places you can go where you are turned into a business owner. I mean, it's just not easy. And so, you know, we have to create so many resources. We have to perfect the learning materials. We have to understand who's qualified, and we have to create accountability steps and consistency in the customer journey, your experience as a student, you know, what it is you absolutely must do in order to get success. But it's really an incredible process to be doing something like that, and very worthy and, you know, worthwhile, if you ask me. So off to Canada tonight. I think I'll wrap this video up, get it off to my editor, and, you know, let them take it from there. And I'll see you guys when I get back, hopefully with some new gear, some higher quality. But if I don't worry about it either. You know, at least you get to hear from me, and then we can keep connecting. And I really appreciate when you leave comments. I've been so busy recently. I can't always answer all of them, but I do try. I do especially try to answer your questions. So please leave more comments. Let me know what you think of the videos. Let me know how I can help you. And yeah, it's going to be a big 2022. It's halfway still. We've accomplished a lot, but there's more to go, and I'm excited about it. So take care, everyone. Like this video if you enjoyed the sort of vlog-esque aspect of it, and I'll see you in the next one.